Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Marcel. I would like to share my presentation with all of you, and I'm happy to have been invited here today for this talk. Okay, the sense of cognitive architecture, which is the title of my speech, because let's try to put some sense. And are these buildings really dumb? First of all, let's say that we should think whether are we connected with nature, and is nature dumb? Nature is not dumb. Nature is cyclical. Nature is beautiful. We have to think at ourselves like, in a Buddhist way, being on more dimension. And if you see the sketch close to the kosha of the yoga on Buddhism, you see the sketch by Friedrich Hundertwasser that was showing the man and the second dimension of a man. The first is man, a human being. Second, man and woman, woman and man, whatever. And the second is the clothes. Then we have the house. So the house is the third dimension. And then outside we have the other two dimensions, the earth and the universe, let's say like that. So the house, the buildings, which are not dumb, I will show you, cannot be dumb. These buildings are the frontier. So to stay in contact with nature, its cycles and its communication. And come back to the communication, because we are disconnected to nature. We are getting more and more disconnected. So here in this picture, you see one of the active houses, winner of the active house award, school in Copenhagen. Beautiful, with a big radar. The radar is a synthesis of comfort, energy, and environment, which is the mantra of active house. Big radar means big integral, big area, a great performance. And of course, beautiful space, nice design, nice architecture. Look, the facade. The facade is BIPV, Building Integrated Photovoltaics. So in this case, the signal, the sense, is the sense of energy, getting the energy from the sun as much as we can and bring it back to the user in a nice way, also beautiful, as New Bauhaus asks. Then this is another winner, and this is a cognitive building. It's the refurbishment by GXN 3XN of the Green Solution House in Bornholm. Former hotel becoming renovated with a radar. You see the first radar in light green, and then the big radar after the refurbishment with high performance and fully sensorized. So the building has sensors. These sensors, what do they sense? They sense what we cannot measure, we cannot see. For example, now I'm in my room here, in my lab that I will show you soon, and I cannot smell CO2 because CO2 has no smells. But if the concentration in part per millions of CO2 is too high, then I get tired. And then even the virus COVID stays alive when we are in an atmosphere with a lot of CO2. If we have oxygen, the virus cannot survive. Okay, let's speak from where I am. I am in Milano. You see the capital of Lombardy, an impermanent city, constantly changing. And even here in Milano, we can experience this, which is what Vilex called, we were very much in research together with Vilex, the indoor generation. We are in the indoor generation. We are part of the indoor generation. Also today, we are speaking from a distance, thanks to the technology, closed in a space, and some space is healthier than others, but in general, people of this society live like that now. And the quality of air, so it's not a matter only of energy, the quality of air, because discomfort, temperature, okay, we can feel a little bit, too cold, too hot, less, more or less we understand. But CO2, VOC, PM2.5, PM10 not. They are extremely dangerous for us. So again, let's think that the microsystem inside of, which is the building where we live, is about comfort. The macrosystem outside is the impact of to the environment that we give with our choices of materials and with our running time choices. The energy is the balance due to the frontier, due to the building. Okay, this is Vilex lab where I work. So it's a lab that was already now has 12 years, and it was built thanks to the commitment of Vilex and Politecnico di Milano to research about all these items that I was mentioning before: comfort, energy, environment, new buildings, new technologies. And this small lab pushed us to look beyond, to study a lot, to look beyond, and to conceive a building which is interactive, active and interactive with the cycle of nature. So in the summer, the building is totally, closed. The atmosphere is ventilated with mechanical ventilation. And even in extreme winter, In the middle season, fortunately, we have a lot. In Italy, we don't need any HVAC. We have only natural ventilation. And this is due to the shape, due to the stack effects, and so on and so forth. So in the extreme climate, we have a heat pump powered mainly by PV, and we have heating and cooling from the floor. So this is the system that allowed us to be a nearly zero energy building, the first active house in Italy, and many other things. But then, to design these, we measure before, and also during the occupancy of the building, which is a constant experiment. The quality of light, you see left and right. Left is with the zenithal light, right is without. The glass today, triple glazing, very much insulated with krypton, argon, xenon. They are very good for energy, very bad for light. And this is not comfort. We cannot live like that. And the roof windows in this case are our wind chimney that can help in the middle season, or even in some cases for hybrid ventilation. So this is the power plant of the building. So you see radiating floor, the machine for the heat pump, the energy recovery, ventilation, mechanical heat recovery, and with a total enthalpy recovery. And here you see some experiment. This was done in 2013. We were flying over with this quadricopter to measure what we don't see. Again, the energy in the morning, you see, especially the heat island around, shows that our city, this was 8 in the morning in July, that already around is getting very hot. And this will affect the behavior of the building and the quality and how much energy we need. And this is because we have created cities which are totally unnatural, too much sailed on the ground, too much anti-natural in a way. In this case, we changed the roof and we placed a green roof in the flattest zone of the roof where the heat was higher due to the summer irradiation. Then PV on the other, so heat production, in this case, energy production for the heat pump. And then this is the north pinnacle. You can see that the opening works to create ventilation in the middle season. So nature is a net. You know that the roots communicate to a long distance. When you have parasites, they can communicate 30 kilometers distance. And so we want to conceive the city. Our buildings together connected, helping each other, giving energy to each other and information. So the building has a digital twin. You see, this is the Velux Lab, the digital twin, the building information modeling digital twin. We have sensors everywhere. Some of these sensors, like in this case, are very engineeristic. You don't understand them. But what we are interested in is the user-friendly sensors that I will show you. And they make sense because when we use this, we don't understand how much energy is behind it. We just use it. And so you see, these are some very engineeristic sensors that I'm not speaking about them. But we have to think about sensor like we think about the evolution and building, like we think about the evolution of other kinds of industry. It's very visible, the evolution in cars, in IT, etc. So in a Darwinistic way, we have to think that the building can be sensorized and communicate easily with us, telling us something we don't see: CO2, temperature, humidity, PM2.5, VOC, PM10. And so this network with nature and the radar resulting, this is the radar of our lab where I'm speaking now, can be active in the sense that can be used in an optioneering phase to design the building, freeze it with a radar, active house, and then also measure. This is the current research by PhD Nicole Di Santo, my PhD scholar, about the phygital active house. Phygital is interesting because it matches an idea. It's an idea to match physical and digital. The digital we have, the physical is different. Can be like clothes, from S to M to L to XL. XL is the city. Okay, and we can interconnect them in the city. In these experiments is a parallel experiment in Italy, Denmark. So Milano, Copenhagen. The two cities are very much friends. And we are now sharing different dimensions of this evolution instead of revolution in building. This is just an evolution like we experience with sensors. Now, when I'm speaking, I have on my desk a couple of sensors. Now I will show you. And this is an experiment in Copenhagen CPH village. And here it was fully sensorized. You see the Lipcraft sensors. Lipcraft is one of the stakeholders of Active House Alliance. And here you see my PhD scholar, Nicole, with Leapcraft founder Vinay Venkatraman, and some sensors. They are also nice to be seen. This is nicely designed by GXN 3XN. I can show it to you. This little bird is a sensor of CO2. When CO2 is too high, it starts to tell you CO2 is too high. So you need to open the window. This is extremely educative in schools, for example. Then you have more complex sensors. They can measure more things, like this one. We were mentioning CO2, humidity, temperature, light, VOC, PM2.5, PM10, etc. But then the user can interact easily with this kind of box. Instead of the bird rotating the box, it gets out information on how they are feeling in that moment. Okay, then you can measure the blood, whatever. This is extremely physiological. But what you are interested in, the big numbers, is to see the reaction of a very comfortable place, energy, let's say, respecting, and also environmentally, let's say, respectable of the environment. Here you see the final experiment we are doing is with Alexa and Biticino, and Velox, because we are interconnecting the two systems. Just by vocal order, we can open or close the window, we can slide down the sun shading. And you may say, well, why we need to have all this automation? Because now it's easy. With ZigBee, etc., is no more like before. It's not domotic. It's totally different. It's in the connection of our life of every day. We have it already there. And for example, think about people with injuries, people in a wheelchair, people that cannot move their hands. How can they open the window to ventilate? How can they slide down a sun shading? And so this is the evolution. Again, the building with sensors, like our cars. Think about our cars before, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. No sensor were able to tell you to put your belt on or to measure the distance from when you're parking, etc., etc., or that your car needs to make some fuel. Okay, so now is that evolution. The building was always lethargic, the building industry, but now we have all these devices. They can be extremely interconnected to the situation that we are already experiencing and connecting to nature. Because in this way we can measure, we can even have a predictive engineering to understand what will be the weather coming. So if we need to store more energy or less, what it will come, it will be, now with this old big data processing, can be easily processable and seen synthetically, not engineeristically. If we think that we should be all engineers, we are wrong. Our clients are not engineers. Our client can book a train with the telephone. Even my mother, she's 81, can do it. So they can easily get the communication on our IT network. So finally, getting to almost a couple of minutes to the end, I like Seneca saying, there is no favorable wind for the sailor who does not know where to go. Maybe these are just some hints for a new direction. And I believe that Active House is a new direction. And if you see all together, what we need now is to live comfortably, use renewable resources from nature, especially from the sun and the earth and the ground, being connected to the nature and the universe, respect the environment, not only during the construction, during the lifetime of the building, which is much more impactful. And then to use invisible technologies. All these sensors, we don't see them. They are not impactive. It's not a machine. The house is not a machine. So finally, you see, this is how it looks from the top. Is a living building. We had millions of visitors. Flowers, you see here. Why I say millions? Because we have also birds, we have butterflies, we have insects, whatever. I think it's a real pleasure to live here and in this building, which is just a part of this big experiment, is how to raise building to a new, let's say, cognitive situation that can help us to live better and to be active in this new way of conceiving architecture and construction. Thank you very much.